Sam, a deal for Bailey Smith. How progressed are your chats with Geelong since here?
I've had a couple of chats with Geelong, so obviously first day today officially, so we'll work through it hopefully over the next 10 days or so.
What's your stance on what's fair value for someone of his calibre?
We think Bailey's worth a lot. I mean, he's a 23-year-old, got all the attributes for the modern game to play in the midfield. We've seen him influence games, the results of games, so highly marketable. Yeah, so we think he's worth a lot. I'm not going to speculate on what that exactly is. That's for, I suppose, the group here and you guys to do that over the course of the next bit. But we'd like to just keep those behind the scenes working through that with Geelong.
It's obvious that they've got the first round pick, Sam, but can you tell us whether that on its own will do a deal for him in broad terms?
Again, we expect a lot for Bailey, and we'll work through that over the course of the trade period.
The relationship with Bailey, is it still healthy on the way out? I know he said he wants to remain friends with the club and he still loves the club, but have there been any fractures there?
Nah, not at all. No, I mean, we want to keep Bailey. That was our preference the whole way through. There's a contract in front of Bailey, so that's our preference. He's indicated he wants to go to Geelong, so we'll be respectful of that and have conversations to hopefully reach a suitable deal.
What's your position on that?
Sorry, is your hand forced a little bit just by his contract status? I mean, in the real world, no one's suggesting a later team pick is fair value for Bailey, but you sort of have to just cut run and take what you can.
I think like any trade, you're just looking for a fair deal. You negotiate in good faith to reach that, and that's the intention of definitely us coming into this trade period, is to negotiate in good faith and reach a deal that we feel suitable.
Prepared to let him go through to the draft if you couldn't get that deal?
As I said, you come into the trade period with the intention to negotiate in good faith, so we haven't turned our attention to that at this stage.
Do you expect Caleb Daniel to be at the club?
Caleb, there's no indication from Caleb or his management that he wants to play anywhere else next year. Caleb's a required player. He's 2 more years in a contract. He's vice captain of the club, plays a variety of roles. So, as I said, we haven't heard anything from Caleb or his manager that would suggest otherwise.
What's the state of play with Jack Macrae?
Jack informed us about 3 weeks ago that he'd like to get to St Kilda. At this stage, we haven't had a conversation. St Kilda haven't reached out about Jack specifically. So, again, Jack's contracted for 3 more years. Our conversations with Jack are that with any player that requests a trade, you try and be respectful and you listen to what the other party's got to say. But at the end of the day, they've got to satisfy us in a trade, and Jack's fully across that and understands that if a suitable trade can't be reached, that he's a Bulldogs player.
Would you expect that they would have reached out by now?
Every club does it differently, so that's, again, they're trying to acquire the player, they've got to satisfy us, so that's how they play, that's up to them.
Would you be open to trading Caleb Daniel, or North Melbourne have obviously confirmed their interest in him? Would you be open to trading him?
I'm not going to deal with any of that while it's not actually on the table or it hasn't been requested. So sort of my philosophy is always to wait and just deal in the facts that are in front of you.
Do you think you've got a list? Do you think you've got a list? Sorry, that will contend for the premiership next year.
We feel we've got a list that can play really good football at its best, and we showed that at different times this year. We beat some really good teams, but at the end of the day, we weren't consistent enough across the year, and we weren't consistent enough in the final against Hawthorn. So, but we feel there's, at its best, that our team can be really competitive and compete against the best.
So is Jack Macrae comfortable going back to the club? I mean, traditionally, if players want to go, they get to where they want to go to, but is he comfortable returning if things fall over?
Our discussion with Jack's been more that we'll be really respectful, we'll listen to what St Kilda have to say, but been really clear at the same time that at the end of the day, it's got to be a club that, so it's got to be a trade, if it was to go through, that we'd feel comfortable with and it's suitable and reflects fair value.
He's cool with that?
Yeah, he's in discussions with him, he understands that.
How keen is the club on Xavier O'Halloran?
Sorry?
How keen is the club on Xavier O'Halloran?
Xavier's contracted to the Giants, so he hasn't requested a trade, so it's really hard to comment. I won't comment on any contracted players from other clubs.
Are you in the market for any key defensive support?
You're always open to what might come up through trade period. You're looking at different avenues. We've probably looked a little bit more through midfield and players around the square, but you're really open looking at the profile of your list, what's there, but we're pretty balanced in terms of what we'll do in terms of if that's through the trade period or through the draft.
And do you think Riley Garcia more likely to stay given Joe Richards is now on what I like?
I'm not sure whether it would be linked to Joe, but Riley's got a 3-year deal in front of him. We're working through that with his manager and feel positive that he wants to remain at the Bulldogs.